Good evening, everyone. Today is April 5th, 2022. This is a regularly scheduled meeting of the Cupertino City Council. Madam City Clerk, could you please conduct the roll call?
Councilmember Moore.
Here.
Councilmember Way.
Here.
Councilmember Willie.
Here.
Vice Mayor Chow.
Here.
Mayor Paul.
And I'm here. Thank you very much, Madam City Clerk. Our first item on the agenda today falls under ceremonial matters and proclamations. We have a proclamation for Cupertino florist. I understand that we do have a member of the public here, a fellow Rotarian for the former owner of Cupertino florist Itsunaka, and fellow Rotarian is also a former council member and mayor of Cupertino, and that's Orrin Mahoney. Orrin, welcome. If you would like to turn your camera.
It's on now.
All right, welcome. And we can hear you loud and clear. I understand that you have a presentation that you would like to provide.
Yeah, I just want to elaborate a little on the proclamation. First of all, I want to thank you for honoring Cupertino florist. And even though Cupertino florist is in the big letters on the proclamation, it's really Itsunaka that was an unbelievable asset to the Cupertino community. So if you read the proclamation, you got a lot of background on it, but what you don't know maybe is that he was among those interned in the internment camps during World War II. And in spite of that, he returned to San Jose, and I'll talk about that in a minute, and then to Cupertino, and ultimately served our own military in Korea. So again, one of those, patriots that was among those unfairly interned during the war. He was a Rotarian for 66 years. He joined Rotary shortly after our Rotary Club was founded in 1955, the same year the city was founded. And he became president 2 years later. So he was one of our first, certainly our first Asian American presidents among many. I think it's important to know, that it's and the whole Wanaka family left a tremendous legacy for the city. And if you go to the next slide, I do want to talk about how that legacy lives on. So what you may not know is last year, the children of ITS donated $1 million to Cupertino Rotary. And the purpose of that $1 million is to endow scholarships to San Jose State University students. So these scholarships are, we'll be doing $40,000 every year to a student for the next 25 years. And they'll go to students transferring from San Jose High School to San Jose State, just as ITS did. So we're just trying to give back what he earned, what he achieved really when he came back out of the internment camps, because he was a teenager when he was in the internment camp. So that had to be hard to come back up, integrate back into high school, ultimately go to college and get his degree. So that's it. I just want to thank you again for recognizing his contributions and really appreciate it. And I just wanted to make sure everybody knew just how great a person he was. He was a tremendous asset in Rotary. I have a plaque on my wall because I've got the Itsunaka Award, which is the highest award you can get in our Rotary Club. And it's the only Rotary thing that's on any wall in my house. So that's how much I respect him. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Orrin. And at this point, I do ask, in accordance with our city manager, that our city attorney and city clerk also follow suit and cut their cameras so that we can take a quick still of the proclamation screen on our Zoom app. So thanks so much. All right. Well, thanks again, Orrin, for helping us.
Thank you all.
First, as well as Itsunaka and his family. So very much appreciated for this pillar of our community. So item number 2 is another proclamation. We are presenting a proclamation declaring April as Fair Housing Month, commemorating the 54th anniversary of the enactment of the Federal Fair Housing Act of 1968. And we do have a representative from an organization locally that is here to accept the proclamation and to say a few words. Lark Ritson. And Lark, if you want to turn on your camera, please feel free. And I believe that our city clerk has a slide as well that would be shared for this. So welcome, Lark, as well as Project Sentinel, and thank you for being here to accept this proclamation from Cupertino.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm proud to be here, and I'm proud that this month is being recognized as Fair Housing Month, and that Project Sentinel is part of that. This month is recognized nationally as a tribute to Dr. Martin Luther King, who had such an important role in the passage of the Civil Rights Act of 1968. That act, as does the federal and state Fair Housing Acts, recognize the right to fairness and equality in housing opportunities without regard to race, color, national origin, religion, sex, or familial status or disability. The city of Cupertino has provided financial and moral support to Project Sentinel, which we greatly appreciate. Project Sentinel is a nonprofit organization whose mission is to educate on fair housing, to negotiate and resolve fair housing issues between landlords and tenants, or owners and prospective buyers. And where necessary, we seek to enforce the fair housing laws through actions filed with the agencies and courts. This is very important work, and we do have a large community of people that seek our help. And so we are very grateful for the work we can do and the support that the city gives us. Thank you. And this last screen is our contact information and our website information where you can find out more about us.
Thank you very much, Lark. And we appreciate your partnership and Project Sentinel's partnership in helping to bring forward this awareness. And I know that it's an ongoing project that all of us are pulling together and bringing forth our best efforts to make sure that we have a fulsome conversation and effective results ultimately in addressing this very serious problem. So Lark, if you'd like to turn on your camera, we'll go ahead and take a quick still of the proclamation on Zoom. And so our City Attorney Jensen, if you could cut your camera for a moment, thank you very much. And so here we go.
Yeah.
All right, well, great, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Much appreciated. And we'll go on to item number 3 now. Item number 3 on our, or I should say before we get to item number 3, we have a couple of parts of our agenda. First is postponements and orders of the day. Madam City Clerk, are there any requests for postponements or orders of the day under our agenda here?
No postponements or orders of the day requests, Mayor.
Okay, that being the case, then let us go ahead to the next item on our agenda, which is oral communications. Oral communications is for any member of the public wishing to address the Cupertino City Council for an item that is not on our agenda this evening. And so I'll remind members of the public that you'll need to have your hand raised by the time the first member of the public concludes speaking in order to be called on for this item. Right now, I have 4 hands raised here. They are from Peggy Griffin, Jennifer, Muni Matapatla, and Leanna Crabtree. Peggy, welcome. You'll have 3 minutes.
Good evening, council members and staff. I'd like to address 2 different topics. One is the grant accounting that I believe is not correct. It does not include the total fee waiver amounts given to each organization for such uses as Memorial Park, Community Hall, etc. Fee waivers is a loss of revenue to the city and is being administered inequitably. There needs to be an accounting of this and a policy as to who decides the max amount allowed and under what conditions. Second, regarding the Valco SB 35 modifications recently submitted, The new tentative map submitted should be reviewed by our legislative body as required by California state and our municipal code. Please make sure that this is done. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Peggy. And at this point, I have one additional hand raised. In addition to Jennifer, Muni, Matpatla, Leanna Crabtree, we have Lisa Warren as well. And so our next speaker is Jennifer. Welcome, Jennifer.
Thank you, Mayor Darcy. Hi, I'm Jennifer Griffin. And I just wanted to bring up something that has been very, very troubling. We received information that there are 75 parcels in West San Jose that are being rezoned by the city of San Jose. And of course, I'll see how this ties into Cupertino. I have a relative of the family that lives in West San Jose. And there are 75 parcels that are being rezoned by the city of San Jose, and no one knows at this point why they're being rezoned. We're reaching out to try to understand. 75 parcels in West San Jose are changing zoning by the city. This brings up another issue that is very, very troubling. I am very, very concerned that a lot of the public are not being kept up to date across the state on massive rezoning of land in the state. This is land that could be homes, cities, shopping areas, but for some reason the public is being left out of the loop. This brings up issues. San Jose has rezoned large areas because of their urban villages, et cetera, et cetera. This also brings up, I'm not going to pick on San Jose here. We're having the issues with the potentially massive rezonings with the housing element. I understand that there are people that are saying that much of Southern California will be rezoned because of the housing elements from all of the cities in Southern California. It's not just Northern California, it's the entire state. And we are stumbling through our housing element. I'm very, very concerned about the rezoning and upzoning, the bad RENA numbers. It's happening in Cupertino and all over Northern California, Santa Cruz, Aptos, et cetera, the counties. And the public does not know what is going on. And that is not a good road to be going down. When the general public has no understanding of why city counties and city governments in Sacramento are rezoning their land and the land around them, then that is not a good way to practice democracy. The public have to be kept in the loop, and it has to be explained to them why this upzoning or rezoning is happening. It is not fair.
15
This
seconds.
zoning is being propagated a lot by special interest groups and Sacramento themselves. They're not letting the public be a participant, and it really needs to be investigated.
Thank you, Jennifer. Our next speaker is Muni Matpatla. Welcome, Muni.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Muni Matipatla, a Cupertino resident and a Planning Commission member. I'm speaking here as a resident of Cupertino. I would like to present this under the topic of, Protect American Dream Act / policy, however you want to call it. As you know, owning and living with a family in a home is called American Dream. Unfortunately, realizing that American Dream is becoming increasingly difficult because of Wall Street commoditization of homes as investment assets. Roof over a family is as essential as water and electricity. We cannot allow that to be commoditized for Wall Street profits. Please consider investigating and possibly enacting the following laws in our city. Vacancy tax, that's number 1. Number 2, foreign ownership tax. Number 3, restrict corporate ownership of homes to certain types only. Why are these measures important? San Francisco, for example, has 20% of homes vacant. I sent you the link in an email to you all. We still have massive housing crisis in Bay Area. I'm sure there are tons of homes like these in the entire Bay Area, vacant homes. A vacancy tax implemented a few years ago in Vancouver forced more than 5,000 homes, empty homes, to be rented out. The next year, and also the homes that still stayed vacant generated more than $67 million in new revenue from the vacant homes to be used to build affordable housing. I also sent you a mail with a link to data showing 25% of the homes in California are all cash down purchases. They are usually from foreign owners. This makes it very hard for our community members to compete. Something like a 15% tax on such foreign ownership will help local residents to win the bids to own a home. I believe several cities around the world have adopted this approach. I know, for example, in Singapore, if you're not a citizen, you cannot own a landed property. You can own an apartment or a condo, but not a single family home. Similarly, block corporations from buying certain types of house. For example, we can allow them to buy apartment complexes to rent out, but not buy single family homes and townhomes and condos, because we need these homes for our community members to buy and build the American dream. And
15 seconds.
okay, so I hope you take this up and do something about it. Thank you. If you take the lead and do it, I'm sure other cities will follow. Thank you.
Thank you, Muni. Our next speaker is Leanna Crabtree. Welcome, Leanna.
Good evening, council and staff. My name is Leanna Crabtree. I'm a Cupertino resident. I raised my hand to speak about a different topic, but I just want to concur with all that Muni Madhupatla has said about his strong concerns about the commodification of housing and how it's making it extremely difficult for people to get safe and affordable shelter and to buy their own homes, which is one of those things that many generations have counted on as a real wealth builder in America, period. I actually raised my hand to speak about something different, though, and that is regards to the modification request that was received, or modification application that was received by the property owner at the Wolf Stevens Creek location of the SB 35 project. And my general question is, looking at the set of documents that are available on the web page called Valco Town Center SB 35 project, and under the heading the RISE modification application, there are 5 links underneath that header, and some of them link to single documents and some of them link to very, very large directories. My general question is, how is the public to confirm that the document set is complete? And I will give just a couple of short examples to help illustrate the point. I appreciate this is not the place to go into a lot of detail. But for example, under the transmittal letter, this is a letter that's addressed to City Manager Jim Troop, and there's an item, this transmittal letter appears to be a kind of a table of contents. But for example, there are items listed there that I personally haven't been able to find actually in the documentation set. And that would include, for example, item 7, which is appendix 3. And I'm just wondering, is this a single document or is it a table of contents document and I just can't find it? Or is it referring to a much larger directory? And then speaking of the much larger directories, there are many, many documents under the headers, modification documents, SB 35 modification drawings, and tentative map modification drawings. And I'm just wondering, we look at all those documents, how do we match those back up to know that we're looking at the full documentation set and not missing anything? I had some concern. There was a lot of information being shared about how much the open space, what's being counted as open space, how much open space there is. It seems like there's a lot of discrepancy between the two applications. But anyway, that's enough. Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Thanks very much, Leanna. Our next speaker is Lisa Warren. Welcome, Lisa.
Thank you. So ironically, I'm not going to be able to be in the meeting tonight, the whole meeting, because I have to work with 2 clients trying to write offers to purchase single-family homes that have been beat out multiple times. And one of them is a $3 million buyer, but they can't get into anything. And there's another that can't get into the low end because of the kind of thing we need to be keeping very good track of, which the vacancy tax and foreign ownership would help with significantly. But what I wanted to, so vacancy tax, empty house tax, whatever you want to call it, definitely, the city of Cupertino and all surrounding cities need this. In fact, the entire state should be taking part, but if we could start the ball rolling along with a couple other cities, that would be fabulous. So please very much consider that. And it needs to be appropriate and enforceable once it's in place. And housing audit. I'm really concerned about our housing element process and the dragging on and the seeming concentration on things that kind of keep us from talking about the bigger picture. And it's very concerning, not only to myself, but to several residents and people in other cities as well. Really, I don't see how we have gone anywhere in this without having some kind of a housing audit of what we have currently in all kinds of descriptions, ownership, size, location, etc., type, etc., of housing. It must be done. It should have been done before now, and I don't understand why it's not, if it's not, part of what we are paying a consultant to help us decide these things. Why are they not providing that? How can you know what you need to do if you don't know what you have? So please do put that in place right away. In fact, when Councilmember Way was first elected, a group of people met with her on a Zoom, and that was one of the big asks. We need to have a housing audit. She agreed. She thought it was a great idea. Others have said it's a great idea, but it's not happening. Now is the time. We are way behind. And it's Fair Housing Act, for goodness sakes. We got to do all of this stuff right. We've got to make sure that people who live here are able to live here. And the people who don't keep making money off of our backs. And so there goes the empty town.
15 seconds.
And I'm hoping to pop in and out of this meeting tonight, but again, I've got clients that need help trying to get a house. So thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. And as I mentioned previously, Lisa is the final hand that was raised.
Mayor Paul?
Yes.
Hi, it's Kirsten. I did receive an email from the public before your cutoff.
Okay.
Request to read. Yes, may I read?
Yes, please do.
Okay. So this is from Albert Hoffman. Honorable Mayor Paul, Vice Mayor Chow, and City Council members Willie Moore and Way. It was shocking to see the Cupertino Union School District Superintendent Stacy Yao's presentation at the March 18 City Council meeting. Who prepared the PowerPoint presentation with such a tremendous quantity of misinformation? It was also upsetting to see one Cupertino City Council member going along with the false data presented by Superintendent Yao. Yao's presentation was especially short-sighted considering the failure of the last 2 CUSD parcel taxes and the desire of the school board to try for either a bond measure or another parcel tax in 2022. Alienating the very voters whose support you need for these funding measures was unwise. I have voted for every parcel tax that CUSD has put on the ballot, despite the fact that my children are ages 32 and 29 and have long finished with our public schools. I also don't take the senior exemptions that I'm entitled. I was initially opposed to the recall of CUSD board members Phyllis Vogel, Lori Cunningham, and Sylvia Long, but after watching Superintendent Yao's offensive and misleading presentation, I sought out and signed the recall petitions. CUSD clearly needs a change in leadership at both the board level and administrative level. CUSD schools are not enrolled compared to schools in neighboring districts. The district will likely become a basic aid district within the next year, and then funding per student will increase as enrollment declines. But the reality is that the Cupertino's 6th cycle RENA enrollment will begin to increase once those thousands of new units of housing are constructed over the next 8 years, both in Cupertino as well as other COC cities. It is vital that the City Council and Planning Commission entitle as many sites as possible that are located in parts of the city with declining school enrollment. It is also important that as much of the new housing as possible be ownership housing, preferably townhomes and row homes. This is the type of housing that will increase school enrollment while at the same time generating sufficient property tax and parcel tax revenue. Sincerely, Albert Hoffman, Santa Clara resident in CUSD and FUHSD. And that is all.
Thank you, Kirsten. We're on to reports by council and staff. Under that, item number 3 is a series of brief reports on council member activities and brief announcements. And I'll remind my colleagues that this is the 1-minute summary of our activities since our March 15th meeting. And so, Councilmember Moore, you have the first hand raised.
Okay, thank you, Mayor Paul. So 1 minute. All right. So for council member activities, I helped pick up trash with my fellow council members with one of my adult sons on the I-280 and De Anza Boulevard on Saturday, which is a very satisfying experience. And I hope we can tackle the graffiti at the Wolf exit soon. On March 21st, I went on a Valco site tour with Sandhill Properties, Nandi Kumar, Reed Molds, and Mike Rohde of Valco, along with Councilmember Way and City Manager Jim Troop. I actually noticed that there were some bluebonnets blooming on the site, which were actually very pretty. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Moore. Just under the wire at 28 seconds remaining. And so very well, nicely done, and thank you. Vice Mayor Chow, you're next. And you'll need
22nd, I think Councilmember John Whaley and me also toured the Valco site and had a good discussion with them, and they informed me that they are adding 100 units of family BMR housing in the new proposal. I haven't looked at that to confirm. On the 26th, I attended the grand opening of a new boba shop by Stevens Creek and North Blaney Corner, and I think all 5 council members also attended our sister city event by at the Quinlan Center, and I unfortunately had to leave early before we went on the stage. On the 2nd of April, all 5 council members joined the highway cleanup. I at first was not sure of that, but then I really enjoyed the event. It's really actually the scenery by the highway is great.
That's
so
great.
I hope yeah.
Thanks very much. Next, we have Councilmember Way.
Thank you, Mayor Paul. So in addition to the trash pickup, the grand openings, and the tour, I went to a couple of interesting things. One is the CalCV's Peninsula Division's infrastructure seminar, and that's really good. I'd like to inform our council members. Another event is coming up on mental health and homelessness, so I hope everybody could attend. And the Fremont Union High School District has 2 grand openings. One is for the district office at Dawes School, and today I went to their Fremont High School Student Center grand opening, and it was really, really good to see the nice buildings for our students to encourage them to study hard. So one thing I would like to advocate is the Fremont Union High Schools Foundation is coming up with their Spring for Education event on April 29th. It's online, but we will deliver meals to your place. So you will all receive an invitation. Please participate. We are saying goodbye to our Superintendent, Polly Bove, who is really an icon in Fremont Union High School District. So thank you.
Great. Thanks very much, Councilmember Way. Next, we have Councilmember Willie.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. So I think such a busy week as we, and pretty much all 5 of us have been on all these items. I'd like to do a shout out for the mayor who arranged the garbage pickup at De Anza and Homestead 280. To me, that was just really a unique opportunity for us to, do something for the city here, for the community. And I hope we'll do more of those, and I hope we'll do more noticing to the community so that there can be more community participation. It's a good time to get out, talk to us, tell us the things you like, things that you're concerned about. And I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Councilmember Willie. Let me go ahead and start my clock here so I can be even about this. Yeah, so, as everyone mentioned, there was a litter pickup along Highway 280 in conjunction with Caltrans, and VTA was there as well on another one across from Dan's Boulevard. Really appreciate that we had all 5 council members. I've thought ever since then that I doubt that there has been any council in the history of Santa Clara County that came out in its entirety for litter pickup, in conjunction with Caltrans. So I'm really proud of our council for doing that. There was West Valley Community Services Chefs of Compassion last week. I attended that and, was very appreciative of, the efforts to, try to raise awareness there. And fundraise for the organization. And then the other part I wanted to report is that we're doing a lot of work to try to dry run the various types of, elements of our live hybrid meetings. And so this was supposed to be that type of meeting, but due to technical issues, we have decided to push that back to April 19th. And so a lot of work has been going into that, and we're looking forward to going live in 2 weeks. All right, so that's my update. Next, we have item number 4. This is going to be our committee assignments. Would anyone like to go first on reporting out on committee assignments since March 15th? And I see Councilmember Moore, you beat Councilmember White just, and now you've lowered your hand. So let's, barring your any desire to go first on this point, I'll call on Councilmember White at this time.
Thank you, Mayor Paul. So I attended one meeting. It's by the Silicon Valley Regional Interoperative Authority Board meeting, and it's really very, very interesting. It's important board because for emergencies, they are operating communications, and so they are actually right now operating very well. So I am on a learning curve, so it's a very interesting and really important board. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Way. Next, we have Councilmember Moore.
Okay, thank you, Mayor Paul. I'll try to go fast on this one. On March 24th, the LRC meeting chaired by Vice Mayor Chow received the legislative update from our new lobbyist, Joe Gonzalez and Son, and we took positions on various bills, which will be updated onto our LRC webpage shortly. On March 28th, I chaired the audit committee, which Mayor Paul also sits on, and the procurement review portion of the internal audit will be coming to council on April 19th. I am now on a subcommittee with Vice Chair Chen to review the budget format, and we received the first monthly treasurer report pursuant to California Government Code Section 41004. Something else I should probably bring up regarding the internal audit, because there was a newsletter from someone in the public that next items that we're working on are policy inventory, the capital program effectiveness study, and the fraud, waste, and abuse program. On March 29th, the LRC held a special meeting on the legislative process 101 with Gonzalez and Son, and I hope everyone who attended this virtual event came away with a better understanding of how the process of how bills become laws in California is. And I'm going to quickly jump on to March 30th. We held the Housing Element CEP meeting where we had an update from EMC. Our consultant, the Planning Commission is waiting for the site selection meeting to be held, having been postponed twice. I want to remind the public that Council allocated 5 more positions to the Community Development Department this year, and 3 are full-time planning staff. The next CEP Housing Element meeting will be this Thursday from 11 to 1. Please join us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Moore. And that is comfortably under the 2 minutes. And we have Councilmember Willie at this time.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. So while we didn't have a meeting of Silicon Valley Clean Energy yet, it's this coming week, but a couple noteworthy items. One is, so Silicon Valley Clean Energy is making available grants of the $10,000 per city to help with the REACH Code 2.0 process. So our city staff is going to take advantage of that. That it may not be much, but it will help to cover some of the costs that are going to be associated with it. They are also putting money aside to help different community members with electrification, with higher power bills, and you can find that information on their website. So if you looking into one of those types of changes, or you're in need of some assistance, take a look. It just may be there to help you. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Woolley. Next, we have Vice Mayor Chow.
Hi. So on the 29th, we also had a Legislative Review Committee Legislative 101 community meeting. The recording, I think, is posted on the LRC website. And you can learn about how to reach out to your legislators. And on the 24th, the LRC meeting, we took some positions, especially to support bills to facilitate hybrid meetings going forward, and some other bills. Yeah. On the 30th, the CEP meeting, unfortunately, we spent most of the time listening to staff presentation. We didn't really get into how the outreach plan. I hope we have enough information on this Thursday, the second meeting, but the committee decided that we would meet as often as possible so that we can, we won't slow down the housing element process. But we really need a list of property owners that or organizations that staff have outreach to, so that we can design an outreach plan. And farmers market subcommittee, we reach out to Fremont Union High to see if it's possible to use high school sites, but they would charge $2,000 per week, which is too costly. So we are exploring other options with them right now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vice Mayor Chow. And so for my part, I had a VTA SSTPO meeting. That's a committee of the VTA board, safety, security, and transit, and planning and operations. And so we went over a number of various topics related to VTA ridership, as well as opening up from the pandemic, strategies for outreaching, and the SSTPO meeting was, as usual, fairly comprehensive. The West Valley mayors and managers did meet in the latter half of March. And we also had the aforementioned audit committee meeting that Councilmember Moore mentioned. And so, one thing, I will say, since there is some fairly significant misinformation out there, and Councilmember Moore alluded to it in terms of a newsletter that's out there. I think that it's fair to say that when it comes to the fiscal health of the city, we've made a lot of positive decisions. And, a lot of times when you're reading, these types of very one-sided, who knows what the motivations are, kinds of descriptions, you would think that the sky is falling. But, the point in fact, from a fiscal perspective, Cupertino is in sound fiscal health, largely because of policy decisions made by our council over the last several years. But at the same time, when we're talking about results of an audit, that was something that was militated, that was, put forward by our council and by the audit committee over the course of the last several years. We did have a 14-year embezzlement that predated any of our time, and we responded very quickly and I think very effectively to that by, requiring that we have an audit. And so when you have this kind of interplay between our public representatives and, the people that we pay to effectuate the work, what doesn't really help, frankly, and, I'm done with council in 8 months and have basically set aside a very significant, portion of my income generating years to make sure that our city is in good health. It just doesn't help when there's that misinformation out there with regard to, council activity. And so, I hope people, do have a conscience about what they're putting out there. And, I know this is, a lot of political things, but, honestly, try to be a little bit more honest and complete about the information that's out there. So thanks very much. I'm going to go ahead and move on to item number 5. That is our city manager's update. And we'll have City Manager Jim Troop providing that update. Welcome, Jim.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. I'm going to start off with some really good news here, and that is I get to be the one to introduce to the Council and our community our new Public Works Director, Matt Morley. So, Matt, if you can turn your video on. I don't know where you are. Oh, there you are. Okay.
Welcome.
So just a real quick background. Matt most recently served as the Parks and Public Works Director for the town of Los Gatos, where he's been since 2013. In his role, he managed all operations and capital programs for the town, including facilities and fleet maintenance, parks and street maintenance, capital project programming and delivery, and real estate transactions and planning. Prior to that, Matt previously worked at the city of San Jose in a variety of management and leadership positions, including serving as the fleet manager and director of fleet and facilities. And I am extremely happy to welcome him here. He's going to be a big help to the city, and I'm going to turn it over to Matt for a few words.
Great. Thanks, Jim. Welcome, Matt.
Thank you very much. Thanks, City Manager, Mayor, and City Council. It's great to be here. I can't tell you how excited I am to be a part of such a talented and committed team that you have here in Cupertino. I'm looking forward to contributing to all of the collaborative projects and programs that we have going. It's been 2 days so far, and I'm already super impressed with the amount of work and the talent that you have. So thank you for the introduction and the welcome. I'm again super happy to be here.
Thank you, Matt. I just had a couple more items, Mayor. Or you had already mentioned it, but a reminder that the April 19th council meeting will return to an in-person/hybrid after a 2-year hiatus due to the pandemic. So guests may either attend in person or continue to watch and participate over the Zoom meeting process as we've been doing the last 2 years. But also starting Monday, a little earlier, April 11th, the City Hall will be open again for walk-in services such as planning, building, business license, and more. So that's another step towards the reopening. And then we also have an all-inclusive playground at Jollyman Park. The city was awarded a grant to replace the existing play equipment at Jollyman Park with a new all-inclusive playground designed for people of all ages and abilities. The design will support recreation and social interaction for individuals with autism, sensory challenges, cognitive development, and physical disabilities, and those with special needs. So we want to hear from you, and there are 2 ways that you can provide your input to the city. Number 1 is join us at the Earth Day event on April 23rd, 2022 from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Please drop in and share your ideas. And the last chance would be to take the online survey as it closes April 26th at 5 p.m. There's also a part of our website has it at engagecupertino.org. And then if you do the / and just type Jollyman, and that'll get you there. 2 other ones, Lawrence Mitty Park Master Plan. We also need community input on the features desired for the new Lawrence Mitty Park. We're providing a number of ways for you to give that input. The project team will post the online survey at the Engage Cupertino website this week. And we'll also have a booth at the Big Bunny 5K, so I'm plugging that one, the Big Bunny 5K on April 16th in the morning. A community meeting is tentatively scheduled for the evening of Wednesday, April 27th. Again, Wednesday, April 27th. Details will be included in the mailer going to the residents this week and will be posted on the Engage Cupertino site. And that's also under engagecupertino.org/Lawrence Mitty, all one word. Last one is Earth Day. Cupertino's Earth and Arbor Day Festival is returning in person, finally, after 2 years, on Saturday, April 23rd at 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Library Field. The festival will feature more than 60 community partners, family activities, live entertainment, a guided bike ride, and food trucks. So take a ride on the VIA shuttle to join us. VIA is offering free rides all day in honor of Earth Day. Visit cupertino.org/Earth Day. And additional information, the festival was moved to Library Field to accommodate better social distancing and more activities. So it should be a very fun time. And that's my report for the day. Thank you, Mary.
Thank you very much, City Manager Troop. And once again, welcome to Director Morley of Public Works. We'll go on to our consent calendar. Colleagues, our consent calendar is comprised of items 6 through 11 on our agenda tonight. Would anyone like to pull any of those items from 6 through 11 on our consent? Vice Mayor, I see your hand is raised. Is that for this purpose?
Sorry, leftover.
Okay. I don't see. Yes.
Mayor, hi, this is Kirsten again. I do have a request for an amendment to item number 8, the draft minutes of March 15th.
Okay, very well. Let's go ahead and pull item number 8, and I'll go over to our members of the public. Would anyone like to request any of our consent calendar items 6 through 11 be pulled? I don't see any hands at this point. And so let's go back to council. Now, this is for items 6, 7, 9, 10, and 11. May I have a motion to pass the consent calendar items as recommended in the agenda? Councilmember Woolley
So moved.
and Councilmember Way.
Second.
Great. We have a motion and a second on the table. Again, this is for consent items 6, 7, 9, 10, and 11. Seeing no further hands, Madam City Clerk, could you please conduct a roll call vote?
Councilmember Moore,
Aye.
Councilmember Way,
Aye.
Councilmember Willie,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Chow,
Aye.
Mayor Paul.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you, Madam City Clerk. And so, Madam City Clerk, you mentioned item number 8 has been pulled in request for an amendment. Do you happen to have that requested amendment available to serve effectively as our presentation here? Okay.
Yes, Mayor. Yes, and it was included as a desk item this evening. This is for page 9, agenda item number 12. Council had discussed taking a position that the Cupertino Union School District should reconsider its decision to close Regnar and Meyerholtz Elementary. A motion was made and there was no second. And the request is to add at the end here where I have it underlined, there was no action taken, and to delete that the motion was not considered.
Okay. Very well. I will go ahead and move this with the amendment. Would anyone like to second this for the purpose of voting and discussion in reverse order? Councilmember Moore?
Second.
Okay. Very good. We have a motion and a second on the table. I don't see further hands raised, but Councilmember Moore, did you want to speak to this motion before taking further action?
I'd actually like to see it, the change back up on the screen, and I would like our city attorney to explain what the difference is between the two statements.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember Moore. I'll go ahead and recognize our city attorney. For my part, I don't really see a difference, but the reason I put this motion on the table is that I don't see any harm in accepting the amendment. But City Attorney Chris Jensen, would you like to speak to Councilmember Moore's question?
Yeah, no, I agree with you, Mayor. I don't think there's a legal difference. I think I don't think there is a difference from a legal perspective.
Okay, well, thank you very much, City Attorney. And so, Councilmember Moore, your hand is raised again.
Okay, I don't support the motion because I don't see a reason to proceed with it.
Okay,
So
well, thank you.
no, thank you.
I'll go ahead and call for a roll call vote with no further hands raised at this point. Madam City Clerk, could you please conduct that roll call vote?
Councilmember Moore,
No.
Councilmember Way,
Aye.
Councilmember Willie,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Chow.
I'm a little confused. So this is vote, no is no to the change, right? So we want to go with original. Yeah, I would go no.
Okay, Mayor Paul.
Okay, let me let me abstain from voting at this time and bring this back to the council. And so, Madam City Clerk, if you could recite the vote.
Oh, sorry. Yes. So the motion fails with Moore and Chow voting no and Paul abstaining.
Okay, thank you, Madam City Clerk. I have a question. Was it a member of the public or one of my colleagues on council that brought forward this requested change? Because I know it wasn't me. I would be supportive of it if someone wanted it done because it helped, keep things a little bit more clear. But I'm just wondering who brought this forward as a requested amendment.
Yes, Mayor, it was a council member, but I do not have the information on who requested the change. So I just brought forth the option for council to vote on it since it was received after the publication of the agenda.
Okay, very good. So I take it you received the request from a third-hand source, or at least...
Yes, I received the request from our city manager, True.
Okay, well, let me go to our council members with their hands raised before I check in with Jim. Councilmember Way, you have your hand raised?
Yes, Mayor Paul. Actually, it was me, and I did not know that there's no difference. If there's no difference, I really don't care, because I was just thinking that because it's not second, so the motion is not considered. I guess the motion is not considered then, or the corrections motion was no action taken. If it's both same, I'm okay with it.
Okay, well, that being the case, Councilmember Way, let me just do this, and I'm glad that I abstained my vote there, because I do want to be supportive, especially if it's a kind of a non-issue. But given, you're the source of it and you really don't care one way or the other, let me first go to Councilmember Moore, who has a hand raised. Did you want to make a comment at this point, Councilmember Moore?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Paul. My comment is about the process. So as we just saw, this was presented to us as kind of an anonymous pull of this item, which I think is highly irregular. So I'd like to have the city attorney explain how this came to pass, because I don't think that we should be allowed as council members to be able to essentially mask our identity and pass an item through the city manager in this method. So I'd like to hear a little bit about that, because I'm a little bit disturbed about it, actually. Thank you.
Okay, Councilmember Moore, City Attorney Jensen, would you like to speak to that comment before I proceed? I'm going to proceed with putting the original recommended action on the table by motion, but if you have a comment on that.
So this request was conveyed to the city manager. The information was provided to the city clerk. Our process allows really any member of the public to pull a member to pull an item from consent calendar. We could certainly reconsider a different process that would impose additional rules around it, but I'm not sure that there was any intention here to go to be anonymous or really any intention other than to attempt to correct the record. I think both language conveys roughly the same effect, and I don't think there's any real legal or practical impact of either sets of language. So I'm agnostic as to which council chooses.
Okay, well, thanks very much, Chris. Let me go back to Councilmember Way, who has a hand raised at this point.
So I do agree with Councilmember Moore. Maybe we need to talk about the process, because with my 11 years of school board experience, we always read the package and we send our questions to city managers through the staff, so we get answers. If my questions are answered, I usually don't ask it on the dais. And if I disagree with a certain like this minutes, then what the city clerks would do is, it's pulled it out and then let everybody discuss it. I don't think the anonymity is any intention to do it. And so this is how the process will, from my experience. It's really good to read it package, send your questions in, send your edits in, and then get everybody's on the same page. So I think I agree with Councilmember Moore. Maybe we need to agree with, do we always present this without the staff knowing and ask questions on the dais, or we ask questions ahead of time, which saves time and saves a little bit of, the staff has to go and research and do this and do that. So I agree with, we need to kind of maybe clear the process. I don't think there's a legal issue in it. It's just how we proceed in asking questions, getting in there, our comments in there first, so the staff is prepared. So,
okay, well, thank you, Councilmember. Let me go ahead and before I call on Councilmember Moore, just commit to a request. And I think, here, procedural, lesson learned. If we're pulling an item from the consent calendar, at least as long as I'm chairing the meetings, please, if it's coming from council, let's just go ahead and pull it at the real time. It's of course much appreciated, the advance effort that people take in reviewing the packet, but I think it's also more direct, right? We can kind of, ask the question of, okay, why is this being pulled? What's the concern here? Et cetera, et cetera. So I think that's fair. And as for, the procedure of this going forward for this calendar year, I'll go ahead and commit to asking, council. I think the normal procedure has been this, but I'll just, kind of make that explicit. I'll ask people, if they want to pull a consent item, and if a particular council member wants to do so, please vocalize that at the time. Vice Mayor Chow, your hand is raised.
Yeah, I think the issue is not when to ask questions, is how the item is pulled. So my understanding is, yeah, usually a council will pull an item. I usually email the staff ahead of time. I'm planning to do that. But then I will do that in the meeting vocally. But then I want to give them a heads up. That's what I usually do. But if a member of the public wants to pull an item, that member is not present, then it's pretty odd. We don't know why they pulled the item. So it's impossible to be anonymous, because whoever pulled it has to give a reason why they are pulling that, right? So I don't.
Well,
not
I appreciate the thoughts, Vice Mayor Chow.
To say I want to pull it ahead of time, and then you are not present.
Right.
So,
right.
So polling has to be done in real time.
Yeah, thank you very much. And point well taken. And it is something that we haven't encountered previously, at least as far as I'm aware. And so, I'll just reiterate my request that if anyone in council, or the public for that matter, wishes to pull an item, just raise your hand or speak up, as the case will be after April 19th, and we'll take the item off consent. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and move that we approve item number 8 as recommended in our agenda. Councilmember Moore, would you like to second? I see your hand raised.
Second.
Okay, very good. And I don't see any hands raised at this point. And so, Madam City Clerk, if you could please conduct the roll call vote on this.
Councilmember Moore?
Aye.
Councilmember Wei?
Aye.
Councilmember Willie?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Chow?
Aye.
Mayor Paul?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you very much, Madam City Clerk. We don't have any second readings of ordinances tonight, and we don't have any public hearings. Under ordinances and action items, we do have 4 items. Item number 12 is to consider council goals and prioritize potential fiscal year 2022 to 2023 city work program items. And I'll remind everyone that fiscal year 2022 to 23 starts on July 1st. And so we're really nicely tracked on April 5th, almost a full quarter before that fiscal year starts, in considering these work plan items. And so let me go to our city manager. Mr. City Manager, would you like to introduce the staff presenter on item number 12, which I understand is going to be a presentation that will take approximately 5 to 7 minutes.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Yes, we'll be having our Deputy City Manager, Katie Namira, present for us.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and Council members. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can. Welcome.
Wonderful. And so we'll be presenting on the City Work Program. And so we'll be going through where we are in the process, overview of council goals in case council would like to adopt them or make any changes. What we've done so far in the prioritization process, which we've called the preliminary prioritization process of what came out of the March 8th special meeting, and then what the resulting priority order was, and recommendation and next steps. And so we are at the point in the process where earlier council members had an opportunity to suggest new items. You've seen items, suggestions from staff and commissions, and now it's time to prioritize those items. We did have, again, the preliminary prioritization process that I'll go into a little bit more detail of what transpired. And so council goals, these are our current council goals, but the council can choose to change them if they would like to. Public engagement, transparency, transportation, housing, sustainable and fiscal strategy, and quality of life. We did do a survey to the community, and the results were pretty well fit into these categories. So the preliminary prioritization process to figure out, which items is the council interested in, and which items should be fleshed out more with more details. So council decided everyone could rate up to 5, with a number 5 meaning highest priority, up to 13 threes, kind of a medium priority, and 13 ones, which is a lower priority. If there was no rating, then that was the lowest priority. 14 of the original proposed items received no ratings and were removed. Council members proposed 14 new items, and similar or duplicate items were consolidated into one item. And after removing, adding, and consolidating, there are now 56 items for council to consider today, and these items can be found in attachment B. And here are the items again. I will make a note. Oh, this slide is really nicely ends at 19. So these are the items that are in attachment B. I will note that let me find it. The number 43, seismic retrofits and upgrades to existing city hall. One of our formulas didn't calculate properly because there was a written note, and so it was considered non-numeric, and it didn't include it in the summation. So we've addressed that in a desk item. And so number 43, seismic retrofits, actually lands right in between 19 and 20 in terms of priority order. And for items that had the same priority rating, we did just go alphabetically because there was not any other distinction to go off of, just so that you know. And so today we hope that council can adopt what council goals they'd like to move forward with, or if you want to continue with the same ones, that's great. And to prioritize the items in attachment B with, again, the same process, up to 5 5s, 13 3s, and 13 1s after your deliberation and hearing from the public. This concludes my presentation. I'm here if you have any questions.
Okay, thank you, Katie. And I will remind our members of the public at this time, we'll go ahead and take hands on this. We're going to go ahead and take all comments from members of the public. And so I remind people that you'll have 3 minutes to speak. I do ask that if you have a large group and want to express similar sentiments, please, just be conscientious of the time. And I know that one group has approached me earlier to ask for a 4-minute presentation time with a commitment that the other members of the group will keep their statements concise. And so right now I have 7 members of the public with their hands raised. Those are Tagi Sadati, Jennifer Richard Adler, Jason Jenha, Larry Dean, and Luis Sadati. As I was speaking, I have 3 more, Lu Dong, Deepa Mahendrekar, and Gari Dutt. And so I'll go ahead and start with Tagi Sadati. Welcome, Tagi. And you'll have 3 minutes to speak. I'll remind everyone again, please have your hand raised before Tagi is concluded so that we can recognize you for the speaking here.
Good evening, Mayor Paul and council member. Can you hear me?
Yes, welcome, Tagi.
Thank you. I am here today to talk about or asking the city council to put high priority on emphasizing on safety improvement for people who walk and bike. And having said that, there is a Carmon Road bridge or connection to the existing Blackberry Farm Trail that exists there, and make that a priority to be completed as soon as possible, because we have a nice Blackberry Farm and there's a trail that ends into Stevens Creek Boulevard, which has high traffic, fast traffic. How people from north of Stevens Creek can go to Blackberry Farm, walk or bike, and how students can bike safely to go to school, to Monte Vista, for example. And that seems to be very important. I occasionally do cross there, have to look left, right, make sure the cars are not there, and go on a trail with a group of other bikers. And drawing a parallel, a few weeks ago, council was discussing the Lozano access to a trail, Regnard Creek Trail, which is not open and is not going to be open for 6 months or so. And some council member raised concern about the safety issue. You can't talk about safety issue when the trail is not open. There's no data to be collected. But however, the trail to Blackberry Farm has been open. And you could emphasize on that. And on Lozano, Mayor Paul's motion was a good one. But the trail open 6 months or a year afterward, we collect data and bring the item back. But that went round and round. And basically, I got frustrated and shut my phone off. Because when you don't have data, you can't bring the item back. It's a waste of staff time. And going back to the safety, the latest news I heard was that El Camino Real is going to have a dedicated bike lane. So a lot of cities are putting emphasis on making it safer for people to bike and walk. So I'm asking you, urging you to prioritize the Carmen Bridge and other
15 seconds.
Safety improvements throughout the city for people, encouraging people to walk. And global warming is bad, so we can get the people off their car and on their foot or bike.
Hey, thank you very much, Tagi. And I will go ahead and read off the additional names that have raised their hands at this point. I have Mary Ellen Chell, Connie Chow, Leanna Crabtree, Peggy Griffin, Magesh Milvaganen, Jolene Go, Janet Van Zoren, Jay Kamdar, a speaker designated call-in user 3, presumably on the phone, Lisa Warren, and Frank Yang. And so Frank Yang will be our last speaker. Our next speaker is Jennifer. Welcome, Jennifer.
Thank you, Mayor Darcy. Hi, I'm Jennifer Griffin. I know you have a lot of things on this agenda, and I just wanted to bring up the issues with the ADUs. There were 3 things. I think I have sent several letters to the City Council and Planning Commission about this. We have a potential dangerous situation where because of current ADU laws, you can build ADUs 4 feet from any property line. But we have a situation where it's like no person has gone here before. We have ADUs that evidently are being built 6 inches from public utility easements in backyards. This is in neighborhoods, a lot of neighborhoods, including Rancho Rinconada and other areas in the city, have the telephone poles in the back of the properties. There are 5-foot easements. I have 5-foot easements on 2 sides of my yard from this. But because of the 4-foot, the illogic of the 4-foot setbacks, whatever, now we have a situation where we have ADUs being put 6 inches from the 5-foot utility. We have not discussed this. The whole neighborhood could burn down if this is where we're going. I think that we need to prioritize this and have a discussion, have PG&E come in and talk about the safety situations. If you have power lines fall down, they could burn up the ADUs. People could be trapped in the back of the property. We've never discussed this before. We really, really need to prioritize this. The other thing is, let's discuss the 4-foot setback. Sacramento, the governor signed these bills. They didn't reach out to the public to talk to any of us about our concerns. And the 4-foot setbacks are causing tremendous issues. There is not enough separation between buildings and properties at 4 feet. When you have properties that can be 60 feet with 4-foot setback from one neighbor, that we've never gone there before. 5-foot setbacks are minimum for this city. Some brainiac in Sacramento decided 4 feet. They didn't talk to anybody, and they have no history of adequate land planning, no background. It was just dreamed up. The other thing is, now with the gigantic ADUs in the back, we're winding up with houses that are allowed by law that are 30% over the size allowed currently by code in the city. We need to investigate this. There's all sorts of precedents, but the ADU, and remember, we have the 25-foot ADU law 897 by Senator Wilkowski from Fremont, that if the governor signed.
Thank you, Jennifer. Our next speaker is Richard Adler. Welcome, Richard.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Excellent. Good evening, Mayor Paul and members of the council. I want to speak to priority number 15, the senior strategy in your work plan. I'm a 20-year resident of Cupertino, and I'm chair of Age Friendly Cupertino, which was officially launched in January of 2018, after we received that designation from the World Health Organization. And in August 2019, our group published a report on the status of seniors in Cupertino that provided basic information about number of seniors, housing options, and services. And this has been helpful, but it was entirely based on secondary research. And now we have an opportunity to develop a really deeper, better understanding of the needs and the interests of the city's older residents, which can go into shaping a senior strategy. I submitted a proposal for the city to sponsor a survey called the CASOA, Community Assessment Survey of Older Adults, which is kind of the gold standard for this sort of research. I actually used this in 2009 for a project I did called Aging Well San Mateo for the city of San Mateo. And I was very impressed with the survey. I found out just the last 2 days that this same survey will be currently implemented in the cities of Saratoga and Los Gatos, Palo Alto, Los Altos, and Menlo Park. So there's a chance for us to compare results if we use the survey with these other cities. The nice thing about it is that the survey is a turnkey package and provides a lot of information on needs and the interests of the seniors in the community, but also is benchmarked against responses in Cupertino against the sample of other cities, because this survey has been done multiple times across the country. It's also important to note that we can add custom questions to this package, and it is not purely an online survey because we don't want to exclude people who are not online. As you know, I have a deep interest in increasing digital inclusion. So I'm hoping that you guys will include this in your senior strategy. The cost is relatively modest, and Age Friendly Cupertino is prepared to actively provide support for the survey, to encourage maximum participation of seniors in the city, and also to ensure wide dissemination of the results of the survey. Thanks.
Thank you, Richard. Our next speaker is Jason with no last name here. And so Jason, welcome.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and City Council members. I would like to express my support for item number 16, the automated license plate reader item on the work plan. I appreciate the City Council and staff's recognition of this issue and for noting this is something other cities like Los Altos Hills are pursuing. I'd like to share two brief stories to show the potential for license plate readers in Cupertino. The first story is a personal one that affected my neighborhood recently. On February 23rd at 10 p.m. at night, people drove through our neighborhood and robbed residents' mailboxes. And then 3 days later, they returned again to burglarize her mailboxes for a second time. That night, I was sitting in my office when I saw their car and heard them open my mailbox. I actually ran into the street and attempted to take pictures of their license plate with my phone as they sped away. Unfortunately, I was not able to capture the license plate correctly, but we did call the police, who responded quickly. They sent 3 patrol cars and a helicopter to search the area for the car, but were unable to find it. But the police said that without the license plate, it would have been nearly impossible for them to catch the thieves. And unfortunately, given the robbers still remain at large, I suspect we will see them again on our street soon enough. So now I want to share a second story, this one actually with a happy ending, thanks to a license plate reader. This story comes from the NBC local news and happened just 2 days after the mailbox robbery on my street. On February 28th in Cupertino, at the Valero gas station at De Anza and Prospect Road, an elderly couple were filling their car with gas when they were robbed and carjacked at gunpoint. A short time later, an automated license plate reader in Los Altos Hills, part of their city's pilot program, saw the stolen car's license plate and alerted police. The police responded quickly and were able to recover the abandoned stolen car. And furthermore, the license plate reader also recorded the license plate of the robbers' getaway car, leading police to arrest them a few hours later in the East Bay. Without the license plate reader, it's quite clear this arrest would not have been possible. And compared to my own experience, where we had a huge police effort to recover, find this car, this example from the gas station required police just to wait around for the car to be spotted by these readers. So my hope is that license plate readers will help us remove repeat criminals from Cupertino and provide much needed relief for our residents. And I appreciate you considering this for the work plan. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jason. Our next speaker is Jen He. Welcome, Jen.
Okay. Yeah. Good evening, Mayor Paul, council members, and city staff. Thank you for calling my name. Give me opportunity right now. So my family lived near the Blackbird Farm for 17 years, and we all like walk and bike. So we are strong supporters for the safe route. So tonight on the list, I don't see the Carmen Bridge, because since a very young age, my children's elementary school, I've been walking with them there, and I've been hearing this Carmen Bridge and helping to promote this project for almost 7 years. So we do need more safe route. You may have heard recently in Mountain View, there's a student biking, only 13-year-old was killed by a truck biking to school. And then also a few months ago, my son's friend also injured very seriously. He broke his leg by biking on the way. So I think Stevens Creek is very busy street. I personally saw cars bump into each other when I pushed the crossing light, and then first car stopped for me, but the second car crashed to the back because the steep hill over there caused issue of the sunlight kind of sometimes blind the driver's eyes. So I do think Carmen Bridge will be a really good option that will provide safe crossing over this very busy Stevens Creek Boulevard. And tonight, I hope somehow you can consider add this very important project back to the list. And also this project making a lot of progress. I think since 2017, hundreds of local residents have signed a petition to support. And also in 2018, I think the BP commissioner, they also put this to the high priority list. And 2019 feasibility study was done. And I know there are a huge document about it. And then I know in 2019, lots of parents and students spoke to the city council in person. And then I remember many of you actually there, you all moved by their testimony and they voted yes to support this project. So I hope the following time, this year, we would add this back. And because also local schools, we have our local like Stevens Creek PTA and then even Monte Vista PTSA, they all officially endorse this project. And because it's going to benefit students to have a safe route, and also help reduce the traffic and then help the park access. There are a lot of benefits. So also a few weeks ago, we heard good news. I think city actually owns the landing sites for the Carmen Bridge. So all the right-of-way issues and then people talked about before, I think they will be resolved very soon. And they maybe already being resolved. I think there will be proof of image somewhere for you to look at. And it's been 7 years. Okay. It's been 7 years. I think it's time to add this back to the list and move to the next phase of this project, that's a design. So thank you for listening to our community, and then thank you for doing all the good work for our city. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen. Our next speaker is Larry Dean. Welcome, Larry.
Her talk. Can you hear me?
Yes, welcome.
Oh, okay.
I took off like a rabbit there. Thank you for your time tonight. I want to echo many of the things that Gian had just enunciated relative to the safety of the needs of the students and the citizens. I think probably the two additional points I would make with this is that this project will be readily fundable from other government sources. 2 years ago, it just narrowly missed being funded by the Measure B from the VTA bond fund. So it's going to be probably an easy one for the city to find outside funding to underwrite this. We understand that your city staff is very busy, but what we'd like to see is to have you commit to this, commit funding to it, and have it start late next year or early the following year. And you know how projects go. Sometimes there are gaps in the workload, and some of the engineering can get done ahead of time. So a message to you tonight, in addition to what Gian had relayed, was this ought to be a very fundable project, and let's get it on the list. And we would like to see this being done to show your level of commitment to this project. We think that's very important. So with that, I know you have a busy night. I will let you go. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Larry. And our next speaker is Luis Sadati. And Luis, you're the speaker that I referenced with regard to requesting a 4-minute presentation. And so let me check in with you prior to starting the clock on that. Is that still accurate, Luis? You're requesting the 4 minutes with other members that affiliate with you. I know you said 15 seconds, but just something reasonable.
Can you hear me?
Yes, welcome, Luis. Did you still want 4 minutes for your presentation?
So I still would like to make a presentation to the City Council, and I can do it with fast speaking with 4 minutes, or a more reasonable speed at 5 minutes, if you wouldn't mind.
Well, let's go with your original request of 4 minutes. And so, video, if you could.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. I think perhaps
Hello?
your volume down.
Oh dear. Hi. Okay, hold on a second. So would it be possible? Okay, so what was the question that you were asking me, Mayor Darcy?
Luis, you'll have 4 minutes for your presentation. So welcome.
Okay. So so I'm trying to move to a different position so that my internet is stronger. Thank you, Mayor Darcy, Vice Mayor Chow, and City Council members. I am Luis Sadati, one of the main DOLA leaders in our DOLA leadership and community that now represent over 300 dogs, 500 people, and 6 different dog groups. No new DOLAs have been started since 2019. This is item 17. Staff statement of an additional year of Jolly Mandola observation by the city to occur before more DOLA trials can start is not needed and never discussed nor recommended with the Jolly Mandola leadership in its over 16 minutes we had with the city staff, commission, nor with the former interim city manager. Jolly Mandola has been observed since October 2019. Its extensive 3-year trial was a success and is now successfully ongoing. Instead of observing Jolly Mandola for an additional year, these same city resources would be much more effectively used instead to issue notifications to pertinent surrounding park areas, observe the relevant parks, and to actually start more DOLA trials. We in the DOLA community have already organized, prepared, and are operating our dog groups in readiness for our proposed 4 trial DOLAs modeled after the successful Jolly Mandola. We are ready to start trials on them with the city in the following order. Beginning of fiscal year 22 to 23, there will be Linda Vista Little Dog Delicate Dog DOLA and Kunlun Nose DOLA. Then fiscal year 22-23, we're prepared to start Monte Vista DOLA and Jollyman Little Dog Delicate Dog DOLA. And you see that the 4 dog parks will have leadership groups, and also sheriffs that will ensure strict compliance with city DOLA policies and ordinances. In the last city council meeting, a question of whether fencing is needed was asked. The current Jolly Mandola did not need fencing, and it has been successful. Linda Vista Park Field is rarely used by the community and does not require any fencing. It has no adjoining athletic field, so its trial can be concluded in 6 months, as DOLA trials were originally conceived and discussed in 2018. Quinlan Knolls DOLA could begin with or without fencing. It has no adjacent athletic field, so its trial can also be concluded in 6 months. Currently, there's no DOLA that serves the needs of little dogs nor delicate dogs. With the DOLA community's help, the city staff involvement was only 15% of the work needed to start and regulate Jolly Mandola. Jolly Mandola collected 145 data entry points before Jolly Mandola trial ended successfully. The city only collected about 40 entries by the trial's end instead of the 145 the DOLA collected. The ongoing Jolly Mandola has now grown to 343 data entries documenting its ongoing success. City staff has now designated more DOLAs as a large project for fiscal year 22 to 23. Previously, DOLAs from 2019 to 21 were designated a small project. Previously, city staff kept delaying start of city DOLA data collection for 2 years, then changed the survey to include another full year for adjoining athletic fields, and then changed the survey again to include the entire park for another full year, though the DOLA only occupied 10% of the park. Instead of the above, city staff can give a small project designation to more DOLAs by using our DOLA community assistance.
Thank you, Louise. Your time is up at this point. Our next speaker is Lou Dong. Welcome, Lou.
Hi, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, welcome.
Perfect, thank you. Hi, Cupertino City Council members. My name is Lou, a resident of Cupertino. We need more DOLAs urgently. To me, DOLA is not only for dogs, but also a community for us as humans. I would like to share my experience about DOLA. My husband and I moved to Cupertino in 2019 from Millbrae, and little did I know we will be working and staying at home for the next 2 years. When we were ready to explore Cupertino when we moved here, shelter in place started. We initially didn't really know anyone here or anything to do on weekends and felt very isolated. As many other people, we got a quarantine puppy. Thanks to the puppy, we got to explore some local parks with DOLA, where we met many wonderful dog owners. Not only did our dogs get to socialize, we dog owners also got to meet people in person, which was much appreciated for myself and my husband as new Cupertino residents, especially after a long day working from home. It's always the best hour for my dog and even more for me. We eventually became friends with some dog owners. We talk about local news, things to do for weekends, even referrals for dentists. We were even invited to celebrate Diwalis with some of them in their backyard last year. It's a community for us, and we finally felt welcomed after 2 years since we moved to Cupertino because of the wonderful people we met through DOLA. We as humans need exercise, interact, and socialize with other people. So do dogs. DOLA is where dogs can run and play. Currently, there are more than 11,000 dogs in Cupertino. However, there's only one dog park and one DOLA. The math here is simple, and we know we need many more DOLA trials and DOLAs. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Lou. Next speaker is Deepa Mahendrekar. Welcome, Deepa.
Thank you, Mayor Paul. I'm not going to take a long time. I just want to say my name is Deepa Mahendrakar, and I am one of the Dola community leaders who initiated the Jolly Man Dola to begin with. I know the City Council has a very heavy agenda. All I want to say is that I think we really want more dollars. Louis' proposal is really spot on and a collaborative effort across multiple Dola leaders, and I'm completely in favor of that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Deepa. Our next speaker is Gari Dutt. Welcome, Gari.
Hi there, this is Gauri. I'm also in support of Dola, but I'd like to concede my time to Louise if she wants to complete her presentation. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you, Gari. And so we're going to go to Mary Ellen Chell next. Welcome, Mary Ellen.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. And I'm Mary Ellen Chell. I am a Cupertino resident, and I am the Jollyman Dola Sheriff. And I let people know what the rules are and that they need to be in compliance. And I just want to take a few seconds to say I agree with everything that the other speakers have shared tonight with needing more dolas and why. It's a very important part of my life and my dog's life. And it helps create more community. So please put this at the top of your agenda or make it happen the way Louise has requested. And thank you all for your time.
Thank you, Mary Ellen. Our next speaker is Connie Chow. Welcome, Connie.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you. Welcome.
Thank you, Mayor Paul, and thank you, City Council members. I'm Connie Chow. I'm a 25-year Cupertino resident, and out of respect for your busy agenda, I'm not going to share any kind of speech that I prepared in support of DOLAs, but let me just say that I emphatically support more DOLAs and wholeheartedly agree with everything that everyone else has said here today on behalf of DOLAs, including what Louise had said. And I really appreciate everything that the City Council has done for our great city. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Connie. Our next speaker is Leanna Crabtree. Welcome, Leanna.
Good evening again, council and staff. My name is Leanna Crabtree. I'm a Cupertino resident. I'm speaking tonight just as a follow-on for some written comment that I sent already in support of any work plan items that could also include a housing audit, support for an empty homes tax, and support for a community land trust. I've included my comments more explicitly in the written notes. I essentially, for the housing audit and in support of a housing audit is to understand exactly what is our housing supply and how is it being used, how much of our housing supply is actually being used as homes for people. And in the cases where the primary use is not homes for people, maybe being left empty or some other use, then maybe we could take a look at an initiative for an empty homes tax. And with an empty homes tax, we have revenue that comes in that could be used for a community land trust, specifically for the purpose of acquiring city land where housing could be built that could be below market, both for sale and also for all of the other for sale housing for moderate income and rental housing for folks who have incomes that are low, very low, and extremely low income. Thank you so much for your consideration.
Thank you, Leanna. Our next speaker is Peggy Griffin. Welcome, Peggy.
Good evening, council and staff. I sent a slide to Kirsten. I don't know if she sees it to display. Thank you very much, Kirsten. Several people have spoken regarding these 4 items: a vacancy tax, foreign ownership tax, restrict corporate ownership to apartments, and a housing audit. These 4 items fit very nicely in 4 of the top 21 work items. Number 9, RETA related. Number 12, economic development strategy. Number 18, plan to end homelessness. And number 21, analyze potential revenue measures. These 4 items, if implemented, could make significant progress towards helping fund affordable housing and provide the type of housing we actually need based on data. Please incorporate these items into the existing work items, work plan items 9, 12, 18, and 21. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Peggy. Our next speaker is Magesh Milavaganan. Welcome, Magesh. Magesh, if you can hear me, you'll need to unmute yourself to be heard.
Sorry. Yeah, I did. Thank you, Mayor. My name is Magesh Mailwagnan. I wrote a speech, but in respect for council's very heavy agenda tonight, I will make it short. I would just give my voice and we really want more dollars, and that I agree with everything Louise Serrati said in her speech and perspective. Thank you all for all the council members for your service and time. Thank you.
Thank you, Magesh. And our next speaker is Jolene Go. Welcome, Jolene.
Hi. Hi, Mayor. Hi, Council. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, welcome.
Okay. Thank you for the time and having the opportunity to speak. I'm here in support of more dollars as well. I can see that you guys have a lot on your agenda and there is a lot to do. Honestly, this is a small project in comparison to a lot of the other things you have. And I think it would be really efficient use of everyone's time, really, if we just move forward with the projects. And, these small projects can really be a success. More dollars can be ongoing. You wouldn't hear from us anymore. As you can see, quite a few speakers have spoken up in support of dollars, and it takes up a lot of time. You guys heard us, you guys know. I think that if we moved into operation mode and not take up the council's valuable and limited time, it will help everybody and, we can move forward with it. That's all. And I support everything Louise said about the dollars, and her data's good. And it's really important for the community. That's all I had to share. Thank you.
Thank you, Jolene. Our next speaker is Janet Van Zoren. Welcome, Janet.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor Paul and City Council members. I'm speaking for item number 5, consider options to develop ELI and BMR housing units for developmentally disabled individuals on city-owned property along Mary Avenue, as well as the Outback Steakhouse location. This project has taken a long time to get to where it is, with an RFP being issued, and now it can, thanks to you. Hopefully this year it can move forward more rapidly with your vote to give it a high priority. Please vote to do so. Many, many thanks, everybody.
Thank you very much, Janet. Our next speaker is Jay Kamdar. Welcome, Jay. And Jay, if you can hear me, you'll need to unmute your microphone to speak.
Oh, thank you, Mayor. Thank you, council members. And I want to give a special thanks to Council Member Hung Wei and City Manager, Mr. Throop. They've been very accessible and responsive to my previous emails communication. Today, I want to speak about, I'm a Jay Kamdar and I'm the resident at Carmen Road, 10080. I have been a resident here for 24 years. I have raised 2 children, both went to Stevens Creek Elementary. And I feel that this Carmen Road project, the bridge project, is a waste of money. The security and safety issues are spoken out of proportion. Such bridge is not where the tax dollars money should go. We need much better projects to spend on, such as increase the safety of the community I live in, make it more livable. Every day there are more burglaries, more graffitis, more nuisance, in and around us. So I would like to see, and there are a lot of other alternatives for biking around this neighborhood. There is a street that just goes down on the Stevens Creek, and make that more affordable and common sense spending project rather than build a iron bridge that becomes an eyesore in a beautiful west side of Cupertino that I live in. So I would like to request that such projects not be considered, and when they're considered, city has not even approached us residents who are directly impacted by this. Just about 20 minutes ago, I found out about this meeting and the agenda item, so I'm here kind of unprepared. But I hope that city will revisit its processes and get a better input and be very transparent in the economic justification for such projects. I just think it's a waste of time, money, efforts, and it's a senseless spending of my tax dollar. Every year, there are more requests coming for increase in, and funding this bond and that bond. And so far, we have been very supportive. I've been living here 25 years, but enough is enough. I don't want to spend my money on such reckless spending. Thank you. Thank you for hearing me.
Thank you, Jay. Our next speaker is designated call-in user 3, presumably on a telephone. You'll need to push *6 on your phone to be heard.
Good evening, councils and all the members and citizens in the city. And I have two information.
Can hear you. I remind you, you're on item number 12 on our agenda.
Yeah, okay. So there's the two things in the mention. The first is about the VTA light rail. There's neighbors, because they know we are here today, so they want to see the VTA light rail. And the second thing is about today. Somebody mentioned about accessory building, and we had one actually. The structure was stone in the back, put down, and took everything away, including the belongings. And that's actually only 12 feet high and 90 square feet plus minus. And there was no code, nothing affecting code.
I'll issue one more warning.
From all the neighbors.
You're on
and they even actually wanted.
Well,
they
then I'm muting you.
supported.
Moving on to the next speaker. I remind you again, you're on item 12. Okay, let me go on to the next speaker. That is Lisa Warren. Welcome, Lisa.
Oh, sorry. I'm still trying to work here. So, okay. So I just want to make a couple comments about the request, the renewed request, continual request for Carmen Bridge. I think at this point, when we've got all these projects that seem slated to add traffic and danger to movement around town on the east side of town, and until we know where the housing element sites are, I think it's not wise to put that back on any commitment list. Sure, keep it in your back pocket and continue to listen to people who want it, but regardless of where the funds come from, those funds could be used for something that's going to protect a lot more people, as the density seems to be directed primarily on the east side of town. And I just feel it's important to remember that, and then we have a future to figure out, not just a present. And it's part of that process that we are painstakingly trying to go through and being forced to, one thing after another from the state and state agencies that don't get it. So we need to try to protect ourselves in numerous ways. And I think putting Carmen Bridge in a priority at this point is a bad idea. And I'm also, if I'm not incorrect, I think Carmen Bridge is a CIP project, and I would prefer to see CIP projects separated from other work program items and not have them mushed together. That's me, and maybe I'm wrong. But maybe it's time to talk about that again. And perhaps our new Public Works Director, Mr. Morley, maybe he has some input on that, if I'm seeing things properly. That's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lisa. Our next and final speaker is Frank Yang. Welcome, Frank.
Hi, Mr. Mayor and City Council. Actually, I'm a resident in Cupertino for about 4 or 5 years. I have 2 young children. We love this community so much, and we love all those nature, all those hiking, biking trail. Actually, I am representing a lot of my neighborhood who actually either are elderly or the one who have younger family, to really urge the city to put the Carmen Bridge in a high priority, because this really connect the 2 sides of the Stevens Creek. Our daughter loved to go to the Blackberry Farm, but we really feel very hesitant to across the street, and it's just not safe, right? And very soon, my older one going to go to middle school. She's going to bike to school, and I will never let her to do that unless we have the bridge built up. So this is not only my voice. I'm representing a lot of the people in my neighborhood who's very busy, who never have a time to join this. I just want to voice out, because I'm sure some people, they don't necessarily like it, but consider there are a lot of very young children, a lot of students who need to commute on a daily basis. We need to help the community build a safer environment for all the family here. Thank you very much.
Mayor Paul?
Frank, Kirsten, did you have an email that came in during the time for public speaking? I'll remind you that it would have been the same time the first speaker was speaking on this. We'll apply a consistent requirement.
Yes, I received it right when you opened the public comment period.
Okay, very good. And so please proceed.
Okay, so dear Mayor, this is from former Mayor Patrick Kwok. Dear Mayor Paul and members of the council, I, along with the majority of my fellow neighbors on the 10,000 Carmen Road block leading to the Carmen Road Bridge, write to express our strong opposition to the proposed Carmen Road Bridge project. Here are a few reasons why we oppose this bridge. 1, the city has not determined where the east side of Carmen Road will be connected. As of now, the bridge would continue through portions of the city property and private property, which could invoke eminent domain. Alternatively, the bridge will end up on the east side with a long set of stairs, so bikers will need to get off their bikes and carry it down the stairs. 2, staff has not polled the elementary school parents in the neighborhood to see if they would even use the bridge to walk their kids to Stevens Creek Elementary School under the safe school route. Parents most likely feel it is not a safe pathway to ride or walk to school by themselves. 3, with the declining school enrollments, there will be less students going to Stevens Creek Elementary Schools and less of a reason to use the bridge by the time the bridge is completed. If the declining enrollment continues, Stevens Creek Elementary School could be one of the schools to be closed. 4, our neighbors enjoy walking along Carmen Road since it dead ends, and we feel safe walking on the wide road. I've seen children playing in this area since it is a dead end. Adding the bridge will narrow the road, and there will be increased traffic both from cars and bikes on this road. This will make it unsafe for children to play. 5, at least 8 residents on Carmen Road will see beautiful trees, including several mature oak and redwood trees, removed to make room for the bike path. Additionally, the front yards of their houses and sidewalks that might encroach into the city property will have to be removed for the bike route. This will greatly diminish their curb appeal with a bike path in front of their houses. 6, the residents living on Carmen Road who will be significantly impacted by the project have not received a notice of public hearing on this agenda item. As a result, they will not have the opportunities to submit their comments. Before the council makes their decision, I respectfully ask you to consider these questions. 1, what is the cost benefit to the Cupertino residents on this project? 2, how many Cupertino residents will truly benefit from this project? 3, shouldn't public funds be allocated to other park projects that could benefit a wider range of Cupertino residents? 4, why haven't staff surveyed the neighbors on a project that will directly impact them? And 5, what will the east side of the bridge look like? Please consider all these issues before you prioritize this project. Thank you, Patrick Kwok, former Cupertino mayor.
Thank you, Madam City Clerk. And I'll let our members of the public with their hands raised in Zoom know we'll need to have the hand raised by the time the first speaker is done in order to be called on for the item. And so we'll be going back to council now after hearing the public comments. And so we stand at 8:34 right now. I would suggest that we take a break until 8:40. I'm anticipating our deliberation to go for a while. So let's do that. We'll see you in a little over 5 minutes. So we'll reconvene at 8:40. Thanks.